Welcome back to the Saints Insider Podcast for Tuesday, August the 5th. I'm Zach Ewing. My head's spinning. Jeff Duncan's over here. Luke Johnson, Matthew Paris are over there. But we are back in the studio one last time before the two gentlemen to my left go to California along with the Saints for the middle portion of training camp. But we are here to talk about what we've learned so far. A possibly, important update in the quarterback competition. We're going to look at the rookie class and some takeaways from Sunday's big scrimmage. So let's get to it. We'll start with the quarterbacks because that's what everybody wants to know. And a possibly significant difference in the way that they're being rotated at practice today, Matt.
Yeah, Spencer Rattler earned first-team reps for the second day in a row. And we've heard rotation from Kellen Moore. Apologies to Jake Haener, but it seems like that rotation puts him on the outskirts now. And really, it's between Rattler and Shough. And Rattler has gotten the last 2 days with the ones. Seems like it's trending that way. Technically, this is a game week. They're preparing for the Chargers when they open the preseason. So it looks like Spencer Rattler is at least going to be the starter for that preseason game. And I think the Saints' preparation now is kind of starting to shift toward that.
We should point out, though, that Tyler Shough did get some reps at the first team at the end of practice. I don't think this is like they're saying, okay, Spencer, this is your job by any stretch. But he has gotten the most significant run with the first team throughout the duration of training camp, and I think he's earned it. I think he's like day in, day out, the most consistent passer on the team to this point.
Yeah, this has been kind of trending this way. Like Rattler, just like Jake Haener was probably ahead of Rattler the first 2 weeks of training camp last year when Rattler was a rookie, he has been ahead of Shough. And so I think if you had asked us all a week ago or even before camp started 2 weeks ago, we all would have said first preseason game, Rattler's the favorite to get the start. Can he hold on to it is another question.
Yeah, what'll be interesting to see is if they flip it next week and prepare for the Jaguars game and give Shough all the ones. That's what we don't know.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I think
that's definitely possible.
I think more significant is that it feels to me like they've eliminated the three-man race.
I feel like
it felt like that in the scrimmage the other day.
Yeah.
The way that was handled.
Yeah, which we'll get to in a minute. I do think they've been very intentional with these rotations.
I think so.
And to me, because of that, when there's been a shift, that means something.
Yeah. They have to start winnowing down at some point, right?
Right.
Like they can't just go into the regular season having like evenly laid out reps among three guys. You got to get the starter ready at some point. So we all thought that this was going to happen at some point where it was going to kind of shift more toward a two-man race. And really it's kind of going along the lines we all thought, except I thought maybe it was going to be after the Chargers game where they start really making it obvious that it's two. I don't think it's necessarily there yet. We're still seeing some with Jake getting some first-team reps, but it's mostly gearing towards Rattler and Shough at this point.
And I think the other significant update of the last few days is they're also giving Shough an opportunity, having him go with the ones near the end of practice. Sunday's practice, there was just, Shough overload. They really just trotted him out there left and right. And so they're going to give him an opportunity to at least compete with Rattler. It's just, can he make up any ground? Because Rattler's been solid.
Do you remember, before we go on, do you remember I guess it was the 2021? Yeah, 2021 season. Did they flip-flop Jameis and Taysom starting the preseason games?
I don't remember. I just know they named it after the second preseason game. Named the starter.
Yeah, that's right.
That's all I remember.
I was actually kind of hoping they would keep the rotation up throughout the whole season. So it'd be like a batting order. And it'd be like, it's your lucky day, Bears, because the game's tied in the fourth quarter, but it's Jake Haener's quarter now. But next week, the Bucs are getting Spencer Rattler first.
Yeah, he'll be the 3-hole hitter next week.
Exactly. So,
I think it'll be interesting to see how they handle Sunday's game, the reps and how they handle
it. I do too, and I think to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, because y'all are the ones out at practice every day. I don't feel like the narrative has changed all that much in camp. Rattler is ahead. Shough is close enough to where it could still flip. They're giving him a chance. and Hayner's the third wheel. Like it feels like that's how it was when camp started. It feels like that's kind of where we still are.
Yeah. I think probably some of that is.
I'm simplifying. Yeah.
Well, it's hard to look. A lot of us went into this honestly, like with preconceived notions that it was a 2-man race, right? Like even though they've given Jake reps, I don't think a lot of us took that like as a serious like he is going to contend for the starting quarterback job, which may be unfair, but like I don't know if that necessarily really even factors into me for me, and I think there's probably maybe not from the media side of things, but there probably is a growing push for Rattler because we haven't seen Shough take like that really significant step forward yet. To me, at least that's kind of the way I'm reading the narrative, if you want to call it that, around this quarterback thing. Is because, I think even though it's like 11 training camp practices in, I think we all were kind of assuming we'd see that kind of incremental, if not, it's never going to be linear, but like the incremental growth with Tyler Shough, and we've seen it in bits and pieces, stops and starts. But he'll have a better day followed by whatever he showed in practice today, where he had an interception and a near interception, and when he's operating the first team offense. So it's that to me has played a bigger part in it than anything, and just like feeling like this is trending towards Rattler unless like Shough really starts to show something.
Right. I will say though that Shough has started to get a little faster.
Yeah.
Like he was so slow the first week or so, but you see him like his interception today zoomed it like, down the field.
Right to Howden.
Right. Howden made actually a nice play on that ball. I went back and watched it. He kind of like ran across and picked it, but it was overthrown from where Olave was. Maybe it needed to be there because, that's where Olave was headed, but still Howden made a nice play. But I just don't think you would have seen that aggressiveness from Shough last week. Like you do see him pushing the ball a little bit more downfield, and he's starting to play faster. Again, it's just a matter of how fast does he learn? Can he close the gap at all? Because right now, I think there still is a gap.
Yeah, I think that is intentional by him because he was pretty risk averse the first week and a half.
Yeah.
No, it makes you wonder if somebody came to him and said, "Hey, we need to see you."
I think
take a step here.
I think Kellen encouraged him, let it rip a little more.
Yeah. Well, one of his better days was Sunday, and I kind of want Sunday was the 126 play unscripted scrimmage, and really probably the most significant practice we've seen thus far. And I think it's probably meaningful that Shough looked good in that environment. But whether it's QBs or something else, you had a take on the.
Well, I think,
he started
good
out,
is a strong word. But
he started out really good.
Yes,
he started out 8 for 8 on his opening drive, led a touchdown drive, the only touchdown
scored
drive.
The only touchdown, yeah.
But there was plenty of discouraging stuff from that as well. I don't want to sound like a broken record here. I might as well just ring the bell. But we do. This is the thing with rookie quarterbacks. It doesn't matter that he's 26. He was playing in college for the last 7 years. It's a completely different speed. It's different defensive looks. It's a lot of things that are hard for rookies to process right away, and we're seeing that. We're seeing a lot of the growing pains early. So the good thing is that you can see the glimpses of what made them take him 40th overall. But I just until you start to see it more regularly and on a more sustained basis, it's hard to envision them trusting him with the job. He's got to improve over the course. That's what training camp is for.
Yeah. You're watching the Saints Insider Podcast. It's brought to you by Bank Plus. And as far as Sunday scrimmage goes, what other takeaways do you have? And I think it's interesting that the timing of it was Sunday, because I think next Sunday, and we'll have another pod later this week kind of previewing Sunday's game. I think it's the most significant preseason game the Saints have played in, probably since that 2021 preseason. I mean, just because of the quarterback battle, and we're going to see a lot of first-teamers play, I would think. But to Sunday's scrimmage as sort of a precursor to that, what other takeaways did you all have?
Jeff, you want to start, or you want me to start?
Yeah, I mean, I would say some of the things that we've been seeing away from the quarterback position, I think the defensive line is much improved. I think the scheme is helping some certain players. And I think the run defense, which was a point of emphasis in the offseason, is legitimately going to be better. The Saints only had a couple of runs. That 126, they didn't run a whole lot. Like Kellen said, they might have broke a record for passes because they wanted to evaluate
the quarterbacks. It was like a 70-30 split on that.
Right.
Yeah.
But the ones that they did run, the defense pretty much shut it down. There were a couple of decent runs. Now, we'll see, right? I mean, is that the offensive line not doing it? But the sense I get is they think the defensive line, and especially the 3-4 scheme with the 3 interior guys really doing a good job of kind of bottling everything up and flushing everything out. That seems to be, in my opinion, one of the stronger areas of improvement on this team. And then the other thing I would just say is that Kool-Aid McKinstry, I think, has definitely taken a big leap in year 2. Everyone's kind of talked about that, but I mean, I think he's legitimately right now their best defensive player already.
Wow.
And he's playing with just an extremely high level of confidence.
Yeah, I think the scrimmage just kind of nailed home the point to me that I think their defense is going to be just generally across the board much improved. Mm-hmm. Like to Jeff's point, like the addition of Devon Godshaw, I think is like a really underrated part of what they've done to address their defense this year. He is so stout at the point of attack. Like there's been probably 4 or 5 plays in training camp where he's got a double team block on him and he's stopping a run with his arm, which like maybe that's just a training camp thing and it's not going to play in games, but like he's still just like the fulcrum around which the entire run defense, operates. He's so good in the middle. And then for as much as we did the hand-wringing about the secondary going into the season, which like still like if you're just like looking at it on paper in terms of like what people have accomplished, what they've done in the NFL, et cetera, it still looks thin, but like within this scheme, I think they're able to make plays on the ball. I've been impressed with Quincy Riley. I've been really impressed with Kool-Aid McKinstry. I think their safeties, Julian Blackmon and Justin Reed, are going to be excellent additions to this team. So, like that to me has been a really encouraging part of this training camp. Is like those guys make it really tough on the offense and those quarterbacks in particular every day.
Yeah, was it Saturday's practice where you guys were doing the 2-minute drill video that we put on our YouTube channel? Subscribe to the YouTube channel, by the way. And Jake Haener was kind of walking behind the camera, and he was cool enough to come join you for a couple questions. And that was one point he made was like,
let's not get into those questions I asked. They're terrible.
But I mean, my point is like unprompted. He said our D line, like these guys are going to be really good.
Yeah,
I think for me, Sunday's practice really crystallized like how the order is shaking out with certain players. Like Nathan Shepard, we talked a lot on the show whether he was a cut candidate. That guy is playing with the ones like pretty consistently. Even in like nickel sets where there's only 4 linemen on the field, he's next to Brzee or in for Godshaw in those. Like I feel pretty safe about him. The edge rusher rotation I think is kind of interesting too. With we saw Jasheen Davis really pop. He's at a really nice camp, an undrafted free agent, and. I just feel like the lineups are a little bit more set right now. We'll see as the preseason goes along. But the other takeaway I had from Sunday's scrimmage, too, was this backup offensive line is not good. It is a problem. They don't have centers who can consistently snap the ball. It was still an issue even today with Will Clapp and Kyle Hergel. Tackles, like I was talking about this with Luke. Like I feel like if one of the tackles gets hurt next season, Kelvin Banks, Fuaga, I think the Saints' best option would be to kick Trevor Penning back out to tackle and let Dylan Radins come in and play guard. Like I just think their swing tackles right now, I don't know if you can trust them to hold up in that situation.
We did see today in practice, and this is like maybe one of the first times that like we've seen Kellen Moore act on this thing that he talked about, but he did shift guys around on that backup offensive line. He stayed really steady with the 5 starting linemen, and they've played the same position all throughout camp. But today we saw Dylan Radins play some left tackle with the 2s. We saw them kick Landon Young back inside where he played a lot last year. So I think they're definitely still in the process of figuring out. And I agree with Matt. They've not been good enough so far in training camp for you to feel good about the backup offensive line. Even if that is something that teams generally across the board could all probably say they want more depth on their offensive line. It's just you'd want it to be better considering the investments the Saints made in it this offseason, signing Radens, bringing a veteran in like Will Clapp to give them like movable pieces at all the line spots. It's just like it hasn't been where they want it to be.
Yeah, and these guys are not exactly, bastions of health in the last couple of years. Like there's been injuries throughout that line, and so, boy, I don't know.
I think if this team, if you were to say around cut down date, what they might be looking for from other roster, I think swing tackle is definitely going to be a high priority. Try and get somebody that can come in and be that swing. And those guys are hard to get, though.
They are.
Yeah, and then depth at receiver too seems like they could use somebody. I mean,
it's so like they're. I think the best 5 wide receivers they've had in training camp are all the same player. They're all. It's like between. Chris Olave at the 1 and like Dante Pettis at the probably the 5th best receiver in this camp. They're all like 6 foot, 185 to 195 pounds, or 185 to 190 pounds, and I don't feel comfortable going into this season with that.
Yeah, they don't. So the separation once you get past Shaheed and Olave's not great.
yeah.
So when you gauge the quarterback, sometimes you have to think about that when they're holding the ball. Sometimes it's for a reason.
Well, this is sort of a good breaking point for camp because the Saints are going out to California for 9 days, traveling tomorrow. They'll practice there Thursday and Friday, preseason game Sunday. Have, I think, 3 more practices there next week, and then they're coming back a week from Friday. So really, that's right up until the Jacksonville game, preseason week 2. So a good chunk of training camp coming up. So we're going to take a break, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about some of the rookies who have stood out, and then also, what we're going to look for out in California. So we'll be back right after this.
Did they ask you to do the commercial too?
Yeah, but they just gave me one line.
Bet like a Caesar. Like, we're going to sit here and we're going to tell them how Caesar's Sportsbook is just so easy to use that you can watch and bet thousands of sports events, even some NFL games.
They'll probably show us betting on our favourite players and teams at all the Vegas hotspots too.
Like, we have time for that montage.
I told him I couldn't do it.
They couldn't afford me.
Welcome back to the Saints Insider Podcast, brought to you by Bank Plus. Zach Ewing here with Jeff Duncan, Luke Johnson, and Matthew Paris. Encourage you all to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Saints at NOLA.com. You'll get all the Saints Insider episodes. You get the 2-minute drill practice reports. Our man Norman shoots a lot of practice videos. We put a lot of those up there too. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel. It is growing every day, and we want you to be a part of it. And hit the like button, leave a comment, do all that good stuff too. Wanted to spend a few minutes. Rod Walker, who's taken the week off, well deserved.
Good on you, Rod.
He wrote a column Sunday before he went on vacation that said he was basically ranking the Saints rookie class, their draft class, and I happen to think their rookies have kind of showed out. I think they've looked pretty good in general. Obviously, some better than others. But what would you guys say to that?
You want to lead off?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a solid class. I might have said the same thing about 24, like the 24 class a year ago, and then I'll have a 53-man roster coming out later this week, but already some of those guys are quickly kind of behind the fold. And so this changes quickly, but all you want is them to take advantage of an opportunity. And I think Quincy Riley has gotten an opportunity. Danny Stutzman has gotten an opportunity. Like, they are taking advantage of their playing time. Like, I've been kind of impressed by recently is Maliki Madavau, their tight end. I don't know if it's because they just don't have like the bodies there, but he's made a lot of catches recently, and so I think there's a chance for some of these guys to at least have like nice change of pace roles, and that's with day 2, day 3 picks, like that's kind of what you want.
Before I get into what I've really liked out of the rookie class, we got some news today that Devin Neal's dealing with a hamstring injury, which is like the last thing that guy needs right now.
Right.
Also, like the first soft tissue injury of camp, pretty much. Is that right?
No.
JT
JT Gray had a hamstring issue. A couple other guys have like had some
Certainly
stuff that's
fewer
making
than
them
last
day to day.
year,
But
yeah.
this is something that Kellen Moore said is maybe going to knock him out a couple weeks, which I mean, you look at that running back room right now. They've got a lot of guys rotating in and out, and it's like on all of them to make the most out of their opportunities. And Devin Neal could have one preseason game maybe to show what he can do. So we're gonna get to see a lot of Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Velus Jones and Cam Akers and Marcus Yarns. Like, there's going to be no Alvin Kamara. This is going to be an opportunity for those guys to show what they can do in a live setting. And no Devin Neal. It's pretty disappointing because I think he hasn't had really a chance to show what he is as a player yet.
And it's no Alvin Kamara because they're intentionally
Correct,
holding him out,
yeah.
not because there's an
Because
injury.
what was the line from Kellen Moore
We're
today?
good
Like,
there.
we're good there.
Yeah, I think
smart move.
Neal could be looking at like a redshirt year if he gets too far behind.
I agree. Which is it's unfortunate. I was really high on him coming out of the draft. He was a great college player at Kansas. I think you can find running backs in those later rounds. We just haven't been able to see it yet out of him. I think Kelvin Banks is a dude. Like, again, with any rookie tackle, I don't think you can go in and expect them to play it at like an all-pro level right away. There's not a lot of Tristan Wirfs and Rashawn Slaters out there, but I think he is going to be a solid player from day one. It's like the greatest compliment you can pay a rookie tackle is to say, like, hey, like, all eyes are on you, and nobody says literally anything about your play on a day-to-day basis at training camp. He's just out there doing his job, and every now and then you like go back and watch like the little practice clips he have, and he's just burying somebody in the dirt. I think he's going to be a good player for them. I think we still don't know on Tyler Shough. Still don't know on Vernon Broughton, who has been kind of phased out of that starting lineup as training camp has progressed. But Stutzman, Quincy Riley, I think those guys are guys who are going to play. Probably more so with Riley, and they've shown throughout training camp they've earned an opportunity there. And I think Fadil Diggs is somebody we still got to see. Well, like we got to see that in the game a little bit. He's out there against third string tackles in practice, and a couple plays here and there, but I don't think he's like really legitimately stood out like Jasheen Davis has.
Right, yeah. I mean, it looks Davis has looked more like the draft pick than Diggs, but Diggs has had a night like several plays here and there.
Yeah.
I even think Sanker is a guy that
Jonas Sanker, he's
working
one I didn't mention.
That's okay, I forgot.
Yeah,
Previously on the show, so I have to make up for it now. Even working with the threes and two, like he has good range. Thought it was interesting. He said that they've been mostly working him on the back end, like to be that deep post safety, even though he was more of a box in college. I think if he were to actually play, that's kind of what they would need from him because, Julian Blackman does have an injury history. So I think it's good that they're kind of prepping him for that role, and he doesn't look overwhelmed, even though it's kind of newer for him.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if you can say that, like, you've got, what would that be, 4 contributors, maybe 5 if Broughton starts to come on a little bit, and who knows with Shough, maybe he starts. I mean, it's your first 5 picks. You're feeling pretty good about that.
Yeah.
Especially with one of them being a top 10 tackle.
Yeah, and I think they're all going to get a lot of run in these preseason games.
Oh, yeah.
I think Riley in particular is a guy they want to step forward and be the third corner. But he's got to earn it. But I think that's the plan, is for him to win that job, and then Yadam would be the fourth. But he's got to do it on the field. And Broughton, I think, just kind of hit a rookie wall early on. He was doing well, and then he hit this wall and kind of, like Luke said, he kind of dropped back, and now he's kind of coming out the other side. So we'll see. Sometimes these ebbs and flows with rookies, and then they get their feet under them and come on. But I agree. Like, I think clearly the veterans at that end position have moved ahead of him.
Yeah, and I would say, this is the most draft picks that the Saints have had in years. Like, there are 9 players here. You don't need to hit on all 9. You just need to have like a good volume of young talent, and that's something this team hasn't had like the last few years. I mean, like, God, go look at that 23 class.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, like, that has aged rough, and so you just need like to find several contributors, and so far it seems like maybe they're on track to do so.
How many do you have on the 53 that Matt has a 53-man roster projection coming
The
out
23 class or
of the
what?
25 class?
I had 8 of them. I
8 of the 9.
Diggs.
Okay, so Diggs is the only one. Matt has a 53-man roster projection coming out on NOLA.com Wednesday morning. And then out of that group, I guess Banks is the only surefire starter.
Yeah.
Shough obviously has a chance. And I don't know if you count Quincy Riley as a starter if he's the third corner,
Not
but
yet.
yeah, he's right there.
if he became the third quarter, he'd be a starter.
Yeah,
Right, but he hasn't even he's not a starter yet.
Not yet. Not yet. But I do think that their rookie class is on track to contribute to the team. And like Matt said, there's just such a need for young impact players on this team. And even if some of those guys are a year off from being real impact players, or 2 years, whatever the case is, I think they can see a path for a lot of these guys, which is probably more than you can say about some of the recent draft classes.
Yeah, and I'd say of the undrafteds we've talked about, I think Marcus Yarns has flashed a little bit. I think Easton Kilty and Luke mentioned Jacine Davis. I think those three guys all are strong candidates for the practice squad, no doubt.
Yeah, Davis is somebody who was just really not on my radar when training camp started.
Me either.
At all. And then, I can't remember what day it was. It was the day they were in practicing in the indoor, away from the fans. I think he had
3 sacks.
3 sacks in that practice. And he's somebody who's kind of consistently shown an ability to get to the passer. And look, if he can continue that over the course of, because we've seen guys flash for a week in training camp and then just kind of disappear. If he can maintain that, I think he'll be on the roster, because that's something that even if he's a designated pass rusher, if you could bring him in for 8-9 snaps a game on 3rd and long, and he can give you some juice there, then that's somebody who can help your team now.
So the Saints head to California tomorrow. One thing that's a little bit different is that they'll be practicing late afternoon California time, so actually evening our time, 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific time. That's 6 to 8 p.m. Central time. And so,
sorry to our print newspaper staff.
It's not great for deadlines or newscasts or anything like that. Friday's pod will have to be before they practice Friday. We may not know the starter or anything, but that is what it is. I think the rationale there is just that Kellen Moore wants to kind of get more into a regular game day where the meetings and the walkthroughs are before, or a regular game week, I should say, but before the practice.
Yeah, they're just flip-flopping. So right now they do morning practice and then in the afternoons they'll do walkthroughs. So they're going to be doing walkthroughs in the morning, practice in the afternoon. But this also just falls totally in line with my joke about Kellen Moore being a millennial head coach.
Wake up past noon.
Yeah, wake up at the crack of 9, eat a bowl of
Fruit Loops, and
Rice Krispie treats.
I need to get personal here.
And
walk along the beach in some flip flops, and then head out to practice.
Go play a game of Madden, and then go out there and practice.
Does he do sweets?
Yeah,
No idea.
Can't remember.
Yeah, he looks like he might have a sweet tooth. I just think that
tried king cake. He did say that.
Look, they've got.
He ever admitted it.
It's going to be. If I checked the weather, I think the highs are in the high 70s in California. You can get away with doing that out there and practicing at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon Pacific, when it's still going to be just unbelievably nice outside. You can't do that here.
Thanks for rubbing it in.
I was going to say,
I appreciate that.
Oh, buddy,
Yeah.
you're not going on this
Too
trip.
bad. Yeah.
I will say this, he's thinking about everything he's doing. So that's because it did seem weird, right? These late practices, but there's a thought behind it.
Other than the timing, anything that changes for you guys out in California? I mean, it's just 2 more practices of the same before, again, what we get into, I think, is a really important preseason game.
Well, I mean, just for us,
Dodger Stadium?
No, I'm not even gonna be able to go to Dodger Stadium because they're doing the late practices.
Right.
I think one of the best things about, and it's very cool they're practicing out here in front of fans, and they've obviously taken big strides to try to get back in the good graces of fans here, having so many of them open. But I think from our standpoint, I love going to those practices out there in California because we have almost a 360-degree access to those training camp fields. There's nothing that is going to obscure our vision. Those practices last year were great from our standpoint. I think it's going to enhance our coverage a little bit out there.
And I would say that I don't know if y'all feel this way, but it is interesting to me that they've been doing a little Chargers work for a while now. Not a lot, but almost every day there's a session or 2 going against the scout team, against the Chargers. That's early for a preseason game to be working against an opponent.
Do you think that some of that is just getting this team ready for how Kellen Moore and Brandon Staley game plan.
Maybe, yeah, I don't know.
It's like a dry run for them. It's a dry run for the team to understand. Like we saw like coaches in the past where and I'm sure the Saints are going to do this too this year, but like they'll mock their game day, right? Well, they're like, all right, you're going to arrive at the stadium like the same time you would for a game day. You're going to go to the locker room, get dressed like you would. You're going to come out and stretch like you would in game day. Like I think they're doing that like even earlier where they're doing the game plan, like that sort of idea.
Yeah, it's just you hardly ever see a team work in a preseason setting against another team, usually a couple days before.
Well, on that note, our Vegas handicapping expert, Jeff Duncan, believes you can move on this game as if it's already been played. Saints -3.5. They're just taking it more seriously.
Saints are going to cover that.
This is kind of tongue-in-cheek.
I would never give gambling advice on preseason ever.
But the Chargers aren't playing Justin Herbert. Like and anybody they did want to get a look at, they've already played a preseason game.
Never doubt Taylor Heineke. Ring the bell.
It may be even less Commander's reference for the win. I don't know. We'll talk more on Friday about it. I do think the Saints are taking this a lot more seriously than you normally see a team take a preseason game.
Yeah, new coach,
and for good reason.
New coach, I mean, new schemes. Yeah, they got a lot to learn, and they didn't have any joint practices. So this is a huge evaluation tool for them, for the staff. There's no doubt. This game, guarantee you, means a lot more to the Saints than it does the Chargers.
And I do think that not having joint practices does affect like how many snaps these guys will play in the preseason. Like we saw that this last year where they were supposed to have joint practices against the 49ers. I think the original plan for Dennis Allen was like to go heavy in those practices and then not play the starters at all in the 49ers game, but then they ended up playing the starters because of like the canceled sessions. So not having those this year, like they wanted them, it just didn't work out for whatever reason. And so I think they have to adapt on the fly, but that's the thing that stood out to me about Kellen Moore is he's very adaptable, very efficient so far with his schedule.
And to your point, I mean, this is a new staff. I mean, they're going to have to play, I think, the ones a little longer than DA and his staff did. They had 3 years to work with on these veteran guys. They're still figuring it out. I mean, we really still haven't played real football yet. And that's why I keep cautioning everybody on the quarterback thing. We're all in a rush to judgment on that. I mean, none of them have played in a real football game yet. I think that's going to be the biggest decider of who wins this job.
All right. Well, on that note, we will reconvene Friday. That one will be a virtual podcast, obviously, because these guys will be a couple thousand miles away. But we will preview that Chargers preseason game and talk about at least the first day of practice in California. Again, we won't have had the Friday practice yet, but we will talk to you then. So for our producer, Norman Bell, he's Jeff Duncan, Luke Johnson, Matthew Parris. I'm Zach Ewing. Thanks to our sponsor, Bank Plus, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We will see you guys next time.